All right, so we're back on YouTube with some update to our venue security drama. Before we go any further, I'll address it. I'm aware of what I look like. I'm recording this on Halloween. Our 2.5-year-old daughter wanted to be an Incredible. Therefore, my wife and I are Incredibles as well. This is just going to be what it is right now. I apologize if you can't take me seriously for this video, but this is gonna be what it is. A couple days ago on YouTube, I released a video where we talked about the situation at a We Came as Romans concert where they had to cancel their show while one of their opening bands, Body Snatcher, was playing due to the security being overly aggressive, dragging people out of the venue, getting into a physical confrontation with the band. Of course, we've already read the statement from We Came as Romans, as well as some social media posts from some of their own crew members, and we looked at a lot of comments to assess the situation, and what it seemed like was exactly what they described. Well, a couple days ago, the venue has responded to all of the allegations of what has happened. And I want to try and keep this video pretty objective. I just want to read both sides to get you guys updated on what's going on, because it is two very different stories of what is going on here. So let's switch over and check this out. But real quick, before we dive into the rest of this, I just want to take the next minute or two to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Factor. With how busy I get at home between doing pre-production for tours, content, streaming, and dealing with a 2.5-year-old, sometimes I don't want to go to the grocery store and get groceries. Heck, sometimes I don't even want to cook. And that is where Factor comes in for me. Factor delivers dietitian-approved, calorie-smart meals straight to my door, and these meals can be ready in 2 minutes. Factor has over 35 weekly flavor-packed, fresh, never-frozen meals to choose from, as well as over 45 add-ons to suit various tastes and nutritional preferences. And they barely take up any room in your refrigerator. Factor also offsets 100% of their delivery emissions, all while bringing your meals straight to your door in an easy-to-open package. When you're hungry and short on time, it's seriously as easy as popping open a meal, throwing it in the microwave, and it'll be done in 2 minutes. And while you wait, you can even enjoy one of their fresh cold-pressed juices, shakes, or smoothies. I'm blown away by how good these meals are. They've become my go-to for before my Twitch streams because, like we've already said, it only takes up 2 minutes of my time, and then I can enjoy a delicious meal right before I stream, and then I don't even have to worry about cleaning up my kitchen. So whether you're just always on the go, or you're just short on time this season and don't feel like cooking or grocery shopping, Factor has you covered. Head to factor75.com, that's factor75.com, or click the link below and use the code TankTheTech50, that's TankTheTech50, to get 50% off of your first Factor box. That's factor75.com. The code is TankTheTech50 for 50% off of your first Factor box. Thank you so very much to everybody that took the time to watch this. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video and for the awesome meals. And now, back to the drama. Now, before we even read this statement, I would like to point out that comments on this specific Instagram post from the Fete Music Hall, which is the venue where this took place, are completely turned off. And as we've discussed on other videos, that's not usually a good look when you have to release a statement and then you have to turn off all of the comments on it so nobody can give their side of the events or anything like that. But let's read this statement from Fete Music Hall. This is their response to events of October 22nd, 2023. To all concerned, many of you have read and or commented on events that took place at Fete Music Hall on Sunday, October 22nd, 2023. We do not feel that what has been presented is a fair representation of the event of that evening as a whole. We first want to start by apologizing to the patrons who spent their hard-earned money on tickets to what should have been a fun night of catching their favorite bands. We are sorry that your night was cut short. The safety of our patrons is vitally important to us. We sincerely apologize to anyone who may have felt unsafe. We are sad, upset, and embarrassed by the way that the show was cut short. Additionally, we apologize to the dozens of talented professional members of our venue staff who take pride in their work ethic and their contributions to the live music and arts communities and do not deserve the violent threats and negative attention being directed at them over the past several days. As venue operators, we want to address many of the concerns and accusations that we have spent the last few days both reading and listening to. Now, after that first slide, they are sad, upset, and embarrassed by the way that this show was cut short. Now, based on the accusations that we've seen from the bands and the firsthand accounts that we read, I feel like they should be saying that they're embarrassed of how they handled the situation and taking some accountability, but it is not put that way. It is, they are sad, upset, and embarrassed by the way the show was cut short. There's 3 more slides in this. I already have a feeling that this is definitely going to be placing the blame on the tour, and there's going to be no accountability here, but let's just continue to be fair here. On Sunday, members of our staff, a representative from our co-promoter, and the tour manager had a routine security meeting addressing the game plan for the night. The club was staffed by 10 security personnel, a more than adequate number for the size crowd anticipated, 3 at the main entrance, 1 backstage, 3 behind the barricade, and 3 floaters roaming the ballroom floor. We were informed that moshing was to be expected, anticipated in a show like this, not unlike many other shows of the same nature that have been at Fete. It was decided that security would first handle incidents with a focus on de-escalation and warning patrons rather than removing an unruly patron from the venue. This is the manner in which Fete Security has handled matters such as this many times in the past safely and without incident. Fete Security is well trained in how to address situations as were anticipated on October 22nd, 2023. Through the first half of the show, things ran smoothly and no one was removed from the venue for moshing. Patrons were enjoying the music, dancing, and having a good time. Our security had issued multiple warnings to one patron who had been involved in multiple altercations with concert goers. So one of the things that we talked about on the last video was that maybe the problem here was that the Fete Music Hall normally doesn't have metal shows and they weren't used to that environment and security didn't know how to act, but we did determine that that is not the case. They've had a lot of metal shows, and even by their own admission, they are used to having shows like this. So if you're used to having shows like this, then you know what hardcore dancing is, and you know what moshing is, and you know what crowd surfing is, and stuff like that. But after the second slide, it looks like they are saying they had a problem with one patron, not everybody. So let's continue. Unfortunately, during Body Snatcher's set, the patron who received multiple warnings became involved in another altercation with other attendees. At this point, due to the several warnings this individual had received, 5 warnings, Fete Security determined that this person needed to be removed from the venue and became involved. Rather than allow Fete Security to do its job, it was at this moment that several members of the touring party then inserted themselves into the situation without what we believe to be the appropriate context as to what was taking place and why. A member of the touring party then whispered something into the band's ear. Body Snatcher then decided to end their set and yelled, "Fuck security, we are done here," into the microphone as they walked off stage, further angering the crowd and directing their anger towards Fete Security, placing members of our security in an unsafe position. Members of our security and members of the touring party became involved in a heated argument. A few minutes later, Fete was advised that We Came as Romans and Amir were not to go on stage, and the show was effectively over. That's an interesting statement that they said a few minutes later, we were advised that We Came as Romans and Amir were not going to go on stage, because We Came as Romans statement said that they, the venue, and the promoter all decided that the show should be canceled. They're making it sound like they came to them and told them the show was canceled. El Nuvian just said, is there any footage of the security being too aggressive? I didn't watch the previous talk. I want to kind of find out, because we haven't dug into that. There's got to be video of this online. There has to be. Everybody has videos of everything nowadays. Final slide says, we are deeply sorry that the events of Sunday escalated to a point where the bands and crew no longer felt comfortable performing. Fete Music Hall has been open for 12 years, hosting literally thousands of shows and catering to every genre of music imaginable. And our track record speaks volumes. We do hope that this statement eases the concerns of those people who have been reading other postings. Fete is and will remain a safe and inclusive venue for all of its patrons, artists, and staff. We have been thoroughly investigating any and all accusations and concerns relating to Sunday's show and will continue to do so. If you have any questions, concerns, or footage that may be relevant to our efforts, we encourage you to contact us directly, and then their email is listed. Like, it's damage control. I get that. I find this statement a little odd because, one, it doesn't match up with the statement that was released by the band. And I'm not just talking the incident that took place, because the band went into more detail about how they got into a physical confrontation with security. They didn't really mention that in here. They just said heated argument. But the band even said that the promoter of the venue and the band agreed that the show should be canceled, but this statement doesn't make it sound like that. And also, from the band's account and from people that were at the show, security was like pulling multiple people out. This makes it sound like it was like one person that they had an issue with, and because they tried to take out one person, the entire show got canceled. Something's not lining up with that. The other thing too, I know at some point in this, they were mentioning that like throughout the night, they'd had no problems with anybody except for that one person who they'd issued 5 warnings to. I feel like that's interesting that that didn't make it back to the tour manager. They said that the band reacted with no context as to what was going on. Guys, I tour all the time and I tour manage bands. And when there's issues like that, we're usually in communication with the venues. Like, anytime I do security meetings with venues, I tell the head of security where I'm going to be, like my production office. If there's an issue, please come get me and let me know. I don't care if it's with our crew, the openers, the crowd, whatever. If there's one person that's being specifically difficult, I want to know about it. Like, I find it interesting that one person in a crowd got warned 5 times, allegedly got warned 5 times before anything happened. And then that's what blew everything up, is them getting ejected. Karen did just bring up a good point. Yeah, Tank, but you already know not all TMs work the same way. You're right. But I know who We Came as Romans tour manager is. I know of that person, and I know they've been touring for a while, and I know that they would operate in the same manner that I would. So I don't think that is an issue. I think We Came as Romans does have a professional tour manager that knows what they're doing. In fact, I know that they do. The other thing I want to do is just share like some of the things that I've seen in response to my video. So one of the top comments on my video says, I was at this show that security was very unprofessional. They walked in the middle of the pit with flashlights and began to shine them into people's eyes very close to their face where you couldn't see anything but the light. When people continued to mosh, they began to drag people out of the venue by the throat and fight people outside the venue. Security even pounded a guy's head into the pavement multiple times and dislocated someone's jaw as well. They also deleted all negative reviews on Google. The security, in my opinion, were very, very hostile that night. When waiting to see if the show would continue, they went into bathrooms and told people not to gossip in bathrooms. When people began to sit because of waiting on security, they would very aggressively tell them to stand up and get up off the floor. Another person said, I've had a lot of issues with Fete Security over the approximately 6 years my band consistently played there. We only came back because it was the only mid-sized venue in Providence, Rhode Island that actively booked solid tour dates, and we had enough pull to get the offers. Another person commented, I was at this show, had We Came as Romans VIP, so I was dead center of the barrier. There was no announcement about any rules. The security team behind the barrier is talking about how if there was any crowd surfing, whoever was doing it would be thrown out immediately with no warnings. Body Snatcher came on, and immediately there was security idling throughout the crowd, shining flashlights inches from people's eyes who were doing anything. Doing something as simple as jumping up and down more than they would like would result in a flashing. Then a pit tried to break out. Security began tackling people and dragging them out by the hair and throat. One guy got slammed on the floor and started bleeding from the forehead. It was at this point Body Snatcher took notice and told security if they didn't stop manhandling their fans, they would stop playing. Then they stopped playing after someone from their crew ran up to the stage telling them to stop. Immediately, people started leaving to go to the bathroom or hallway outside the main room. Anyone caught in the bathroom in their hallway was very aggressively forced back into the main venue. A security chant broke out, and this enraged the security behind the barrier, causing one of them to get up into the barrier and scream, whoever has a problem can come up here and suck my dick. Things started to settle down after about 10 minutes. Then for about 45 minutes, nothing happened. Security continued to talk shit and threaten anyone not standing there silently. The crowd continues to murmur shit, wondering what was happening. Then finally, an announcement was made over the PA system announcing that the show was canceled. I cannot confirm the accuracy of the altercation between security and the crew, but the manhandling of fans is absolutely true. Threatening to meet fans outside to fight is also true. I mean, the violence aside, well, that's not acceptable. Like the way that's a couple accounts now. We've seen from a lot of fans online that were at the show that they are absolutely confirming the story. And when stuff like this happens, where it's security versus crowd versus bands, whatever, sure, a lot of people are going to want to take the same sides, but if this didn't happen or was over exaggerated, you would at least see one person being like, yo, I was there and it was not a big deal. And we haven't seen that at all. We've seen the same stories collaborated that security was in the pit with flashlights, dragging people out, trying to stop people from moshing. And now, one of the most unprofessional things I've read, if this is true, a security guard jumping up and saying, whoever has a problem can come up here and suck my dick. Like, if you're in a position of power or authority or a security guard, like, you should absolutely not be doing that. I think that goes without saying. Like, you are a security guard at a venue. Whether or not somebody is pissing you off, you cannot lose your cool like that. That's ridiculous. Another comment says, I was at this show and have been regularly attending and playing shows at Fete for the past 10-ish years. Security there, it has been the same security team for as long as I can remember, has always been overly aggressive, whether it's towards the bands or crew or the fans. After doors were open, they were walking around taping pieces of paper to the wall that said no moshing. They actively cause issues for bands loading in and out. They have tried to kick me out of my own shows for not allowing them to search through my gear for items that should not be brought into shows. I will say the one thing about that comment that I don't think this guy has any point in complaining is that they've tried to kick me out of my own shows for not allowing them to search through your gear. Dude, if you're going to play at a venue and they have security protocol that says they need to search your stuff, you need to let them search your stuff. I mean, almost every single venue we did on my last tour, they searched everybody that came in. The bands, the crew, anybody that was coming backstage, all of your stuff, your suitcases, your bags, whatever. It was all getting searched. Now, I know they were using that to their point of they turn the other way when someone is being harassed. I don't know if that's true. That's all alleged, whatever. But you shouldn't be upset that security is trying to search your stuff when you're coming into a venue. I mean, that is standard for anybody. So from the stories that we're seeing online from the fans, like all the fans have very similar stories. It does not seem like anything has been over exaggerated. We're getting the same story of them kind of wading through the pit, shining flashlights in people's faces, dragging people out that were moshing. Like, we're getting the same stories. So I've got to believe, dude, hundreds of people that went to a concert aren't going to get together and just like corroborate the entire same story like this, like just because. I'm very curious to see if there's video of this. So I didn't find anything on a YouTube search, but Borg did find something on Reddit. This is during Body Snatcher's set at that show. Let's check it out.
Congrats, security! Congrats! Fuck you guys!
Well, you can definitely see the security flashlights up. It's a little antagonistic, I will say. Whoever crew member that was clapping at security while they're in the barricade in front of them like that, that's a little antagonistic. Let's be honest here. Obviously, we didn't see what transpired up to that point, but it sounded like their singer, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, it sounded like their singer said, congrats, security, f you. So I imagine they said congrats, like you ruined it for everybody. Yeah, I can't really tell what happened. Like the singer, according to the official statement, it said that like somebody came out on stage and whispered something to the band, but I didn't see somebody come on stage. It looked like somebody was in the barricade and got the singer's attention. So I don't know if that was somebody from the tour. I don't know if he went down there because security was doing something. Like, it's kind of hard to tell just from that one video. Let's check this one out.
Fuck off! Have fun!
I have no context to what just happened, but it kind of sounded like he said, "F them, have fun." I gotta assume he's talking about security, but I'm not sure. Okay, so that is the same person that we saw in the video that was on stage. So that this is a different angle. That is definitely a crew person that said something to them like stop or something. I'm more inclined to, from the evidence that I've seen and not being there, gotta be fair with that. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. I gotta say I side more on the side of the bands from everything I've seen from the fans and stuff like that. But from seeing some of these videos and stuff too, it definitely looked like there were a few things I saw that were handled a little incorrectly. I've been in situations with hostile security before, and I've seen bands handle it either like vulgar and intense, where they've like even in their set they've stopped playing and be like, hey, what the f***, and call them out and stuff like that. But I've also seen it handled by bands where they're very calm and they're just like, hey guys, you know, like, dude, Jacoby Shaddix, I've seen, like, from Papa Roach, I've seen him masterfully handle rough security guards before, where he'll, like, between songs be like, hey guys, it's like, we're all here to have a good time, man. Your job is to protect these guys, like, take care of them, you know, stuff like that. And by talking to a security group like that, you're going to probably get a better response than yelling F you at them and stuff like that. I do want to preface this by saying I'm in no means am I trying to back up this security staff or make I can't even take myself fucking seriously right now. Like, let's get rid of that for a second. I'm in no means trying to back up the security team. I think everything they did was wrong based on all the accounts that we've read. But I will say there definitely seemed to be a few antagonistic moments. We saw one of the crew guys clapping from the stage at the security when they were walking by. We hear the band saying "F you" to security, which the band doing that on stage gives the green light to the rest of the crowd to talk to security like that too. Again, this security team handled things fucking horribly based on everything we've seen and all the stories we've heard from fans and from talking to the bands and stuff like that. But I don't think this was the fault of any of the bands. I think this security team legitimately had a problem with the way that the crowd was acting and decided to take it into their own hands. After reading the statement from the venue, I think it's gaslighting at best. To be honest, I know they have to protect their business and protect themselves, but they didn't really address anything. They talked about one specific person that they tried to kick out of the venue. They didn't address any of the allegations of security spitting at and physically confronting the band and trying to wreck their gear or anything. Like, I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, regardless of who's right, who's wrong, what's happened, anything like that, this could be a learning moment for anybody that tours or goes to concerts, and for people that work at venues. Security's job is to protect the fans and also to protect the bands and to make sure that everybody's having a good time in a safe environment. Obviously, they failed at that. Also, at the same time, I do think there is a right way for bands to engage in appropriate situations like this. Maybe yelling "F you" at them and clapping at them from the top of the stage is not the best way to do it. But again, I don't know what I would have done in that moment as a crew person either, because I was not there. But yeah, again, I just wanted to take a look at this again and just kind of see what's going on. And maybe we can all discuss and learn a little from this. But that's going to be it for this one. I don't know if we're going to talk about this anymore, but hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you got to enjoy seeing me in this ridiculous getup for maybe one day a year. But to all you guys that are live on Twitch right now, thank you so much for being here. If there's anybody watching on YouTube later that would like to join us on here, my link is twitch.tv/TankTheTech. I'm also on a bunch of different social media under @TankTheTech. Until next time, wherever you are in the world, be safe, be kind to each other. I love you all, and I'll see you very soon.